the structure of Seven Nation Army. Now, you were asked to make notes so that you could take these and put them on Soundtrap. So these are my notes. I need riff part to repeat part 1 to repeat twice. Then I'm going to add in drums part 1 with riff part 1, and that's going to repeat 6 times. So to do this, if we jump over to Soundtrap, you will see that you've got all your different files here as well. Now what we didn't add on that last one was the extension chords part. So we also have the chords in this final part as well. So riff part 1. Now hopefully we would have labelled our tracks to make it really easy to tell the difference between them. Okay, so we need to start with riff part 1, and we're only starting with riff part 1. This one repeats twice. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this loop button up the top, and we're going to drag this out so that it repeats twice. Now you can tell when it's starting to repeat the third time because you'll see these little marks in here to show you that it's on its third repeat. So we just drag back to the start there. And we've got it repeating twice. But we also know that it was only that, nothing else played alongside it. So we're going to take the rest of the tracks. Now it works the same. You can click and you can highlight the tracks you want to move, and you can drag them to the end. Now a really good way to do this is to actually zoom out. Make them nice and small. It's much easier to move them around, it's much easier to see. Okay, moving these end two as well. Now you might not know how far you want to move them, so you could just move them as far as you want for now. We know that we don't need those for a while. Okay, so we've got that repeating twice. So we need another 6 part 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what you can do here is just after the 2, if you put the purple line through after the 2 repeats, you can right click and go split region. And basically that's just going to separate the introduction from the rest of it, so we can keep these separate. Now it was only drum part 1 we needed. Now to be able to move these, you might just need to zoom in a little bit so you can see them again. And we need to drag out part 1 to the end. Now you can see this is more than 6 because remember our drum parts were half the size. So always do the riffs first, so 6 riffs, and then we drag the drum part out to join it. At this point we can unmute the tracks as well. Alright, so parts 2 and 3 we don't need yet, so we can drag those off to the side. So we got 6 riff part 1s, and then drums part 1. Again, drag out your riff, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you want you can split it so that you can keep each one separate. You just need to right click on the track and make sure that purple line's where you want to split. So we've got 6 in here, got 4 here. Now we need a drums part 2 this time. So we're going to click the loop, drag out 1 to the end, and that'll play 4 times. We don't need part 3 here, so we're going to move part 3 over. To the end. Okay, after those 4 repeats, we need drums part 3, we need riff part 1 and 2, and we need the chords. Now, it's going to repeat twice, but remember the twice was part 1, then part 2, that's once, then part 1, then part 2, that was twice. So, what we're going to need to do here is a little bit of copy and pasting as well. Riff, we're going to need to copy the original riff. Make sure the purple line's where you want it. right click, paste. See, I've accidentally just copied it onto riff part 2. So make sure that you actually select the line that you want it on and then paste. Now that's still 2 times, so I'm going to drag it back to once. Okay, I want to go part 1, then part 2, then back to part 1. So again, I'm going to copy. I'm going to move the purple line to where I want it, and I'm going to paste. You can Control V, or you can press paste. Then I need to copy this part as well. Right click, copy, purple line to where I need it, right click, paste. So now I've got part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2, one after the other. Now if they were in line with each other, they'd play at the same time, which is not what we want. So that's our 2 repeats. We also need the chords in here as well. So I'm going to drag our chords back to the beginning of this section, and I'm going to loop them for those 4 different riffs. Then I'm going to take the drum part, and the same as before, I'm going to drag it out not too far to the end. Now if you want to pause the video throughout this, go for it. There's lots of different steps. And that takes us through to the end of the first chorus, to which point if you want to continue through, keep going. So it should look along these lines. So the parts are all happening at different times, and if we play it from the beginning, we'll be able to hear the song. You can always turn the metronome off. And that's where the voice would come in, but we're not adding the voice yet. And the next part. Part was a little bit too loud, so I might turn that down a bit, but I might also turn the bass up a bit from there as well. So play around with your volumes if you want to, but that is how we put the structure into Soundtrap. So I said if you want to continue and on with the rest of the structure, by all means go for it. Also in the original song you'll notice the guitar also plays this riff, so you might want to actually add a guitar part and have the bass and the guitar both playing this riff at the same time. That will make it a little bit stronger as well.